Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Big Ten preview for the weekend with Southside Riley himself. So Riley's going to get us caught up to date on the weekend action in the Big Ten. We were just talking behind the scenes and what to expect, expectations as Purdue goes down again. If you were listening to the closing bell last night, both of us talked about the Terps, and we thought it'd be a little tougher game. But, you know, that's Maryland, and that's the Big Ten in a nutshell this year. You go to put your hat on a team, and they crash and burn. And Riley was talking maybe 8 teams get in, but who do you have faith in? Northwestern making a great run right now, but do you have faith that they can win 8 in a row? Do you have faith that they can win 2 in a row and get to the next weekend? The same with Purdue, Indiana, Izzo's Army, the Big Ten right now. If you just put a big blanket over them and you just pull up the records and resumes, you're just throwing darts. But you know what, guys? That is what the tournament's going to be all about this year. It's brackets, positioned, who's the bad matchup, who's the good matchup, who can get on that run. It's called Survive in Advance. It's called March Madness for a reason. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the South Side himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Morning, Riley.
Morning, my friend. Happy Friday morning. I am ready to get rocking and rolling here. We won't talk too much about it, but it's a perfect Friday. I got golf in front of me on my TV. Obviously, the Tiger Woods hysteria going on with Rory and Justin Thomas playing with them. I've got some guys that we've talked about on other shows going right now, so I am glad to be here with that going on in the background. But as you mentioned, we've got plenty to talk about with the Big Ten. Last night, obviously, some fireworks with the another upset of Purdue and Maryland getting the win there. Like you said, not to keep harping on it, but not only did we talk about it last night, but a team that's been kind of quietly one of the hotter teams in the country and definitely in the Big Ten. So interested to see where that is ranking. But before we get into the games, I mean, like you said, we were talking off air. As far as bracketology on ESPN, they've got 9 teams in right now. Wisconsin's win over Michigan has them, according to ESPN, slotted as last 4 in for the tournament. I think it'll, like I told you, I think it'll be 8. You've got, 5 teams, I think it is, 5 or 6 teams that are probably pretty safe right now, and then a group of 5 teams that, either need to get some work left to do to stamp their ticket, or like Wisconsin needs to get a couple of these wins to avoid being on the outside looking in, and a couple that are a little deeper that might need to go on a big run there. But outside of that, I mean, as far as a team that can come out and end this, whatever it is, 20-plus year drought of winning titles out of the Big Ten, Purdue, they still have Purdue listed as a 1 seed, but I don't have the big question with Purdue. Obviously, Zach Edey has been fantastic, but we've seen them now fall into these deficits of double-digit deficits, especially last night, the most glaring, and they just can't climb out of it. So when you're asking for a team to win 4, 5, 6 games in a row, chances are, unless you're a juggernaut, which they aren't a juggernaut, they're probably going to have at least one game where they're facing that type of deficit. So that's my biggest concern with them. And then beyond that, I think Indiana right now is listed as the only team that's a 5 seed or better, and everyone else is in that 6 to 10 range. So it's going to take either a Purdue getting themselves back on track and figuring something else out, or maybe a big dark horse to if we're talking about ending this drought, obviously. Which I think is possible. Maybe not the drought, but getting to the Final Four, I could see one of these teams having an awesome run in them. But nonetheless, the Big Ten tournament's going to be awesome. We've got Northwestern now breathing down Purdue's neck in the Big Ten standings, a game and a half back technically right now. So if Northwestern can win this weekend, they'll only be a game back. So And then, a huge pack right behind them right there. So if Purdue continues to fall, this thing somehow becomes wide open. So 7 good games this weekend, 4 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. So I am ready to get rocking and rolling with whichever game we're breaking down here first.
Well, the ball's in your court. I'll pull up Ken Palm. I'll give you what they say, what they're seeing, and we'll go from there.
All right. So on Saturday, like I said, 4 games. First 2, actually, all 4 of them are pretty big. The last one with Penn State and Minnesota being one where Penn State just can't afford that loss. Obviously we talk about needing a win to build resume. That's one where that would be a tough loss and maybe a potential death blow if Penn State can't win that one there. Getting that loss on them. They are not in the picture right now per ESPN, so they obviously cannot afford that one. First 2 up at 11 a.m. my time tomorrow, noon your time. Illinois, Indiana. We'll jump right into it. That is a big one. 2 teams that are probably pretty safe. Indiana for sure safe in the tournament. Illinois, as long as they don't have a giant collapse, they should be just fine. 17-8 Illinois at Indiana, 18-8 Indiana. Obviously, one of the other 2 teams. If you're talking AP top 25, they are the only other team that's ranked right now, number 14. So they are the other team that could really get into, if they go on a nice run, win the Big Ten tournament, get a 3 or 4 seed or something along those lines. That is the one candidate that can, get past that group that we're talking about. And then Illinois, if they go on a run, maybe the best they can get is a 4 or 5 seed. But I think they'll probably be slotted around a 6 seed when it's all said and done in the tournament. These 2 teams have played before. It was in Illinois. Illinois was actually kind of favored pretty heftily, 6.5 at closing. That was in the midst of, I think they had rattled off 3 or 4 in a row, a convincing win or 2 against Wisconsin and Michigan State. And that was really kind of the start of Indiana's resurgence. They've won 3 of their last 4. Last one on, I think it was Wednesday night, a couple nights ago, obviously lose to Northwestern. So they're in a bounce-back spot. Illinois in a revenge spot. Illinois, this is oddly enough only, I think, their second revenge spot that they'll have. The first one, they lost twice to Penn State. So I'm interested to see how this one is slotted. This Illinois team has obviously been tough to predict. They were favored on the road against Penn State. That was the revenge opportunity, and they failed in that one as favorites on the road there. Would not as obviously expect Indiana to be favored in this one, but what have you got for a look-ahead line?
On our sheet right now, we got Indiana with a 4 with a 147. 5 Dimes has it at a 4 with a 144.5. Ken Palm has Indiana 75-71. And, I was going to bring this up to you, and I was going to give you a jab on Tuesday. If my memory serves me correct, 51-40 halftime when you were at Penn State, Illinois, that is. Listen, guys, there's some games that you don't give up 51 in the whole game. I don't know what kind of approach you guys came into, what the thought process is with the coach, but you cannot go on the road and give up 51 in 20 minutes of play, even though you scored 40. That just can't happen.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one thing that I'm looking forward to hopefully being better in this one is Illinois coming out with a defensive approach. Maybe, Indiana still finds a way to win this game, but last 2 games on the road, 2 losses, their last 2 losses overall. At Iowa, obviously Iowa scores a lot of points, but 81 points allowed there, and then at Penn State, 93 to a team that's not scoring a ton of points like that. So I would expect a bigger defensive effort from Illinois in this game, whether that's in a winning effort or not, I don't know, but when you said the total at that size, a lot of I think overs in college basketball have our totals have been going to the over more than the under this last few weeks here. But that would be one where I'd honestly lean towards an under with Indiana's been good defensively at home, and I would expect Illinois to have some more fire on defense. So we'll see if it's up into the 150s, then maybe that's a statement and I'm completely wrong. But if it's in the lower 140s, mid 140s, I might be interested in the under in that one. But this Illinois team has just been so hard to predict. So I'm tempering my expectations on the game as an Illinois fan and on the season, but. You know what? I don't know what to expect. Like I said, the revenge factor and the urgency on defense has me to believe this one could be, first one to 70 is the winner for me in this one. But maybe I'm going a little optimistic with the defenses in this one.
Well, I'll give you this. You haven't lost 2 in a row all year.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. You lost, you lost to Indiana on the 19th. You had won 4 in a row. Then you come back, beat Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska. You lose at Iowa. You beat Rutgers. Now you just lost at Penn State. I will tell you this, though, which is just a tad disturbing. 1, 2, 1 and 2, 2 and 2, 3 and 2. All right. You're 3 and 4 your last 7 on the road. Outside looking in, reading the market, I'll give you a little props. I think this is an Illinois number. As much as we were talking about Indiana off the air, I think it's an Illinois number. And what sets up real nice for you is that you got Minnesota on Monday, which should be a breeze. Ken Palm's got you winning by 19, and this is going to surprise you. On Thursday, Ken Palm's got you favored by 6 against Northwestern. So you got an opportunity. You got a window of opportunity before you got to go to Ohio State to get to 20. And you got to obviously take care of Indiana this game here. I would lean Illinois plus the 4.5. Hope they play some defense early. Again, if you're playing first to 80 against Indiana, you got no chance.
Oh, no. 100%. I think we're pretty much on the same page here. And Indiana's got, as opposed to Illinois having the turnaround with Minnesota, they've got to go to Michigan State on Tuesday and then at Purdue the following Saturday there. So a little bit tougher stretch for them, obviously, there. So, no, this one should be a good one, though. And obviously, like I said, I think both these teams are safe, but both teams could absolutely improve on their standing in the tournament there. This other one, as far as bubble games go, this one is a massive one. Rutgers at Wisconsin, same time tomorrow morning. So correct me if I'm wrong on this one. I've got already a look-ahead line. The only one that I see is on Bet Rivers. Not a look-ahead line. They already got it posted for tomorrow, as long as this is accurate. They've got Wisconsin by 1 with a total of 119. Is that what you're seeing, or is this maybe some bad information that I got here?
No, our spreadsheet right now, a pick 'em with a 120.5, and then again at 5 dimes, a 120.5 as well. Ken Palm has it 60-59 Rutgers. There we got Wisconsin currently 70th and Rutgers 27th. Again, as I talked about your Illinois team, win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Well, Wisconsin, they start 3-0 in league play, then lose 3 in a row. Illinois, Michigan State, Indiana. They beat Penn State. Then they lose 3 in a row again. Northwestern, Maryland, Illinois. Now, this is the disturbing. Beat Ohio State, lose to Northwestern. Beat Penn State, lose to Nebraska. Beat Michigan. To me, this is a Rutgers number. But again, Wisconsin at 15-10 with Iowa on Wednesday at home. Then at Michigan on Sunday, home to Purdue, and then the layup against Minnesota. It's put up or shut up time. It's a Rutgers number to me, but we'll know real early. Don't forget those Saturday morning paint dries in the Big Ten. This has got it written all over. Duck, duck,
Oh, yeah.
23-19 at halftime.
I like it. You're talking my language. And Rutgers, on the other hand, losers of 3 in a row. Last one to Nebraska during the week at the rack. So there has to be a sense of urgency. Like I said, I don't know what I said where they were standing right now as far as the bubble is concerned. I think they're on the outside looking in, right? They're an 8 seed right now. So but they still obviously need to take care of business. If they lose this game, and now not only losing this game to put yourself closer to the bubble, you're putting another team that you're competing with on the bubble in that stretch. So I completely agree with you. They haven't played it all this year. They split last year, home and away again. So I could absolutely see Rutgers getting the win here. I'll probably be watching for entertainment, paint drying entertainment, as much as goofy as that sounds. But you're right. Every single Saturday we've had one, and this one finally is the one where the total is actually suggesting that this is going to be the one for sure. The other ones have been in high 120s, low 130s, and you had to figure out which one it's going to be. This one absolutely is telling you that's where it's going to be. So I'm with you. I'm leaning Rutgers there as well. Michigan State. Michigan is the other one. Obviously, huge rivalry. these two teams have played once already at Michigan State. Michigan State 59-53. That was a Saturday paint dryer as far as that one was concerned there. Michigan State, their defense has been really good lately. They've won their last two at home against Maryland, who's been playing really well, 63-58, and then just smoked Ohio State 62-41. I think that was on Sunday. That was a Sunday paint dryer as well. And now Michigan coming in, 2 losses their last 2, home for Indiana and at Wisconsin there. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. Michigan, I'm seeing another one where I've got a little bit of a preview. Michigan, I'm seeing Michigan minus 1.5 at the 132. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, let me pull. What time does that one start?
This is 7 o'clock my time on Saturday, 8 o'clock your time Saturday night on Fox.
All right, let's pull that one up. See if we got anything on our spreadsheet first. I got Michigan 1.5 with a 136 on our sheet. 2 with a 136 at 5 dimes. Ken Palm right now has 68-67 Michigan. I remember watching the first time these two played, and it was probably a 4 o'clock start. I was sitting right here in the studio, had the bird's eye view through the glass, and I kept looking up every 5 minutes, and the score wasn't changing. And I'm looking. I mean, I think that was like 23-19 at halftime. I really do. A Michigan team that's lost 2 in a row to Indiana and Wisconsin. Prior to that, 3 wins in a row. Northwestern, Ohio State, Nebraska. 2 losses in a row, Purdue, Penn State. Win Minnesota, lose Maryland. So, again, you're seeing a lot of these Big Ten teams win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, lose 3 in a row, win 3 in a row. No one is getting any traction. I'm not saying Juwan Howard's job's on the line, but I am saying the natives are getting a little restless here. It was a great start a few years ago, but it's just not there. 14-12 outside looking in. They need to put some together here and then have a couple wins in the Big Ten tournament. Just on principle, I would lean Michigan money line. I would also dabble in the first half because you'll know early. If they can't throw it into the ocean, you got a revenge spot. Listen, there's no more excuses, Jawan. It's put up or shut up time, and, hail to the victor here.
Well, I would normally agree with you. What about this angle? And it's sad that we have to talk about it. Michigan State has their game postponed earlier this week. Any thought that any way you would be steered away from them having an emotional type victory after what happened on their campus this week with in a rivalry game where they missed the game earlier this week. Now this is their first chance. It is on the road, but it's their biggest rival. That would at least keep me away from, because everything you said, had that not been the case, I would probably be all over Michigan in this spot. But I could see a huge spirited performance from Michigan State this weekend.
I totally forgot about. I don't know what the state of mind. I don't know what the state of the campus is.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Listen, guys, if you need to scratch an itch, win one for Michigan State, the Sparties, the family, the tragedy of the 3 students, the injured students. God, you the smartest thing anyone could do is just watch the game and enjoy the game. You're right, because when you bring in that kind of emotion, I don't know which way it's going to go. I mean, 5 dimes is begging for Michigan State money. We know what kind of attraction Izzo's Armies has this time of year. Even on our spreadsheet, we got Michigan -1. Hell of a point there, Riley. Great job there.
Yeah, and like you said, it could go either way also. So it's good. Like you said, it's a better one to just watch and hope that, for that sake, that's what happens for you, and you get that type of an emotional game just from a story standpoint. So, moving on to the last game on Saturday, I mentioned it earlier in the before we got going. Penn State at Minnesota. 15-11 Penn State at 7-16 Minnesota. I think Minnesota's only got 1 win in conference. Yep. 1 win, I believe that was Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. Penn State, actually, this is the first game between these two teams. Penn State's coming off of after a rough skid. They had a few losses in a row, 93-81 win over Illinois that we talked about. Minnesota, I'm not sure what their losing streak is right now. 8 games in a row for Minnesota lost right now. So I would, like I said, Penn State, if they lose this, that's probably going to be the kiss of death for them. So I'm going to go towards Penn State getting the win here, but nothing would surprise me. I don't see a look-ahead line, though, and I've had no feel for these Minnesota lines all season long. That's been the one where I admittedly have kept myself out of for the most part. What are you seeing as far as the look-ahead line?
I got 8.5 with a 133.5 on our sheets, and 5 dimes 8.5 and a 133.5. Penn State 15-11 right now, 48th in Ken Palm. Minnesota 222 right now. As you said, let me go back with Penn State. Start 2-1 in conference play. Then they lose to Michigan and Purdue. They beat Indiana. Then what happens? They lose to Wisconsin. Then they beat Nebraska. Then they lose to Rutgers. Then they beat Michigan again. Win one, lose one, win one. It's like that in the whole Big Ten. The problem is then they lose 4 in a row. Purdue, fine. Okay, you can't lose to Nebraska. Then you lose to Whiskey in overtime, and then you lose to Maryland. Big bounce back with Illinois. This Minnesota team, geez Louise here. 7-16, 1-12 in conference play, 3-6. They've lost 8 in a row, and they beat Ohio State. Then they had lost to Wisconsin, Nebraska. I will just say this. Ken Palm's got it 72-63. We got 8.5. We got 8.5. All right. I'm going to say Penn State wins. That line stinks to holy damn heaven. This reminds me of your Purdue lines that smelt the holy heaven. Nebraska should have beat them outright, and they lost in OT. I think somehow, some way, I'm not telling you to run to the window and play Minnesota here. I'm just telling you this line stinks to holy heaven.
I'm with you. The single-digit aspect of it. If it was double digits, I'd be leaning towards Penn State, but I'm with you. And what'd you say, 70-62 or whatever?
72-63.
Okay. I'll go with the 68-64 prediction. Penn State win. How about that?
I like it. I do.
All right. Moving on to Sunday, 3 games. 3 of them pretty solid games. Ohio State, obviously everyone knows how ugly it's been for Ohio State, so this one could get ugly. Ohio State could put up a fight, but Ohio State at Purdue, 23-4. Purdue at home, coming off of 2 losses. Loses of 3 of their last 4 at Indiana, home win against Iowa, and then road losses to Northwestern and Maryland. They have only lost 1 game here at home, Purdue. Ohio State, obviously, it gets uglier and uglier. One of the more disappointed teams in the entire country, definitely the most disappointed team in the Big Ten. The thing is, though, these 2 teams play a lot of really close games. So I'll say Purdue gets the win, but it's a little sweatier and still a little concerning for Purdue. Ohio State's better than their record suggests. Obviously, their last they even some of their losses were close. Now their last 2 have gotten ugly. I don't know. Do you think Ohio State puts up a fight, or is this have they thrown in the towel? What have you got for the look ahead line?
Ken Palm's got it 76-65, so 11 with Purdue. Purdue 6th in Ken Palm. Ohio State 11-15. Okay, 11-15, and they are 1-12 their last 13 games, and they are still 58th in Ken Palm. You talk about what the hell is going on here. Their only win was to Iowa, which we did have. 16-point win, 93-77. In between that, losses to Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Northwestern, Michigan State, Iowa. It's just getting uglier and uglier. 17-point loss to Iowa, 21-point loss to Michigan State. They lost by 6 to Northwestern, 8 to Michigan. The number is 11. That's a lot of respect to Ohio State with, again, Purdue coming off a loss. This will be a Sunday special. This will be who has the ball last for the cover. I think Ohio State will play a good first half. They'll be scrappy. And then again, does this land on 13 with 2 foul shots with 1.2 left? Or is this land on, let's say, 10 as so-and-so hits a three-pointer at the buzzer. So I
Yeah.
think you're spot on this number.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you there, and and you have to expect as many concerns as you have for Purdue at home, you have to imagine that they get it done at least in some fashion. Wouldn't surprise me if this is the Sunday paint dryer though, and we're in for an ugly 65-57 type game or something like that. Would not surprise me at all. Other two games though, Maryland at Nebraska. This maybe is the least interesting game, unless you're thinking Penn State, Minnesota is the least interesting game. Maryland's should be pretty safe here in the tournament picture. They, after last night's win, are projected to be a 7 seed. Nebraska 13-14. They obviously playing spoiler every once in a while, but they've got 2 wins in their back pocket. Their last 2, home against Wisconsin, at Rutgers. And now you've got a pretty hot Maryland team coming in. Maryland, first time around, back a little less than a month ago at Maryland, 82-63 win for Maryland there as 11.5-point favorites. So interested to see what you've got for a look-ahead line based on that. The way you're looking might be a little surprising to me, maybe.
Maryland, the Terps. We talked about the Terps on the closing bell last night. Congrats to anyone that followed our lead on that. Maryland, 16th in KenPom, 18-8, 9-6 in conference play. And I'll just go back, let's say 7-3 their last 10 in conference play, but 5-1 their last 6 games. Winners after the Purdue loss, they beat Wisconsin, Nebraska, Indiana, Minnesota, lost to Michigan State, beat Penn State, coming off the big win against Purdue. Riley, what's your opening number?
Oh boy, I'll say I would have guessed 8.5, but the way you're saying it makes me think it's maybe 5.5 or something like that.
KenPom. Okay, let's go back first. Maryland beat Nebraska on Saturday, January 28th, 82-63. They beat them by 19. Yep. KenPom has this game. Maryland 68, Nebraska 64. This is what you call your dog of the day on Sunday, people. We had Nebraska a couple weeks ago in the same exact spot, catching points at home. 2, I'll give it to you right now. Hold on. I'll give it to you. They went box to wire in this game, too.
Was it the Penn State one?
It was Penn State. It was Penn State, Sunday, February 5th. We had them plus the points and on the money line. Box to wire. Listen, 13-14, 6-10 in conference play. And I'll just say, 3-4 their last 7. I mean, it doesn't get pretty. They beat Iowa, lose to Michigan State. They beat Minnesota, lose to Illinois, Purdue, beat Ohio State, lose 4 in a row, beat Penn State, lose to Michigan. They've won 2 in a row. I'll go on record. I'm grabbing the points and I'm sprinkling some beer and pizza money on them outright. I think the Terps' big letdown against Purdue, this will be the Terps that we know and love. And I think the Cornhuskers get it done and get to 500, 14-14.
I'm with you, and I'm interested to see what Maryland's team total is going to be. That one could be one where they, that's an interesting, under Maryland, or on the flip side, Nebraska team total over whatever they give you there, because that 82 points or whatever it was the first matchup, that one is one of the bigger outputs they've had. Their defense has been great, but their offense has been a little more sporadic than that. So in a letdown spot after the win against Purdue, I could see Maryland, not cracking 70 by any means, and Nebraska, maybe their defensive regression, Maryland's defensive regression, and Nebraska gets up over 70. So I'm glad that we can break it down like that, because the 4-point projection, that is surprising. Hopefully we get a little bit bigger cushion with that. Maybe a 5.5-point cushion or something like that on Sunday. So I am very interested. We are both very interested in that one.
And you see the smile, and you can, obviously I'm not a good live poker player because you could see it. All right, this is not to this level, to all people that are watching and listening that didn't watch the closing bell yesterday, but our stench of the day yesterday. I just want to correlate the two here. Okay.
Yeah.
Southern Miss 23-4 traveled to South Alabama 13-14. Southern Miss was 1-point favorites. We gave out South Alabama. They won by 31 people. Okay. So when you start to see these smiles and you can smell them, listen, it doesn't mean they're going to come in, but the books are like trying to entice you. Everyone saw Maryland on Fox go box the wire against the former number one team in the country, Purdue. Now they're traveling to a 13-14 Nebraska team who, this isn't a football game, guys. This is basketball. And in comes Maryland, and they're only 4-point favorites. So, guys, the kid in the candy store, if it looks too good, it usually is. So just buyer beware.
Yeah. And how many times have we seen a Maryland collapse when you're expecting them to be fantastic against a team like this? So I am very interested on Sunday. That one's 4 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock your time. Last one on Sunday, Iowa at Northwestern. This one is an interesting one. Both these teams appear to be in the tournament picture. Iowa projected to be a 6 seed right now. Northwestern, I want to say, is on the same. But both these teams projected to be a 6 seed. Iowa has won a bunch of these in a row, 86-70 on January 31st this year. They're playing well right now. And obviously Northwestern's won 4 in a row, just beat Purdue and Indiana at home. Now you've got a third straight game at home. So you can make the case that both these two are due for some regression. What I would say is that I think this is just probably Northwestern's toughest matchup stylistically here. And so as long as Iowa is controlling the pace in this game, I will go with Iowa getting the win on the road here. But nothing would surprise me at all here in this one. What have you got for a line on this one? And the total, honestly, very interested to see what that is.
And spot on your questions there. You got an Iowa team 17-9, 32nd in Ken Palm right now, traveling to Northwestern, who's 45th. And you said all the right numbers and questions there because they beat them on Tuesday, January 31st, 86-70. Ken Palm has Iowa losing 75-73. But what's glaring to me is two things here. The spread, Northwestern -2, to me, still leans an Iowa number. That's number one. I still think that's an Iowa number. Northwestern 19-7, 10-5 in conference play. They've played, put a great resume together here. They haven't had the big losing streaks. They beat Michigan State, then they lose to Ohio State. They beat Illinois, Indiana. They lose to Rutgers, Michigan. Then they beat Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota, lose to Iowa, Michigan. And then they beat Wisconsin, Ohio State, Purdue, and Indiana. And in comes this Iowa team. What really sticks out to me is the 75-73. That's 148 points.
Yeah.
That number is not a Northwestern number in my eyes. In my eyes.
Goodness,
So if they're going to play that up and down style and try to outscore Iowa. Now, again, Iowa can pull up Maryland on Sunday too. You know this and I know this. They're either guns are blazing or they're Masons. And there's no in between with this team here. Now, Northwestern's going to play some solid D. The scoring and the pace might be slow enough, even if Iowa starts 2 for 9 from behind the 3. That still allows them maybe to go 5 for 10 their next 10, So to me, it's an Iowa number. And with a 148, that to me, again, is an Iowa number and tells me that game's probably going to go over.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at the last 5 games from Northwestern. They've won 4 of the 5 here. All 5 going under, 138, 124.5, 136.5, 131.5, 134.5. They haven't cracked 70 offensively in any of those games. So, I mean, they've done as good of a job as anybody controlling these paces, but it's tough to control. You just hope that Iowa, if you're back in Northwestern or you're back in the under, you're hoping that Iowa is, like you said, shooting 20% from the field, which they're playing better than that right now. So that's going to keep, like you said, pulling to Maryland is what's going to keep me from potentially betting on Iowa tomorrow or on Sunday in this one. But I'm with you. I'm definitely leaning Iowa in this one.
I mean, their last 4 wins, 54-52, 69-63, 64-58, 64-62. They lost at Michigan 68-51. They lost at Iowa 86-70. Their only game, well, back-to-back against the lesser competition, they put up 81 against Minnesota and won. They put up 78 against Nebraska and won. But when they try to go to toe with the Michigan, 85-78 loss. They did beat Indiana 84-83. That was on the road. Again, the pace, that's not their style. They can play it. And I don't know which Iowa team is. This is a pom-poms and popcorn. But to me, it's an Iowa number, even though people will say, Jeff, how come they put up 156 in Iowa and the totals here only 148? Well, because Northwestern numbers are 126, 128, 130. So they're giving you the real number at 148. Again, it's an over and Iowa play. I won't touch it. Yeah. I will be playing Nebraska, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, like you said, yeah, there's a few things that's going to keep me away from it, but I have you lean towards Iowa and points in this one there. So, and I'm looking forward to that one. That one, like I said, both teams projected to be a 6 seed. They both should be just fine for the tournament there. So, what do we got? Last thing to check on that one, as far as any look-ahead spots there. Iowa goes to Wisconsin on Wednesday. Northwestern goes to Illinois on Thursday, so probably about even on both of those, I would say.
Well, you got some danger time here for Northwestern because Illinois on Thursday, Ken Palm's got them losing 71-65, and then on Sunday they travel to Maryland and they got them losing 68-61. They got them beating Penn State at home only by 4. So again, that's not a Northwestern number. And then they end at Rutgers, and he's got Rutgers winning by 6. So technically speaking, the coin flip this Sunday, and then only the 4-point favorite on March 1st, they could, I'm going to say this very soft here, they could lose the next 5 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think they will at least. It wouldn't. I'll go on record saying maybe even unless you get a Maryland collapse in that final weekend or next weekend or whatever it is. I might even say 1-4. I'll go on record saying they get one of those two between Penn State and Rutgers, because both of those can kind of play the same style. But I'm with you. I mean, even a 1-4 is an ugly. I think they've done enough, especially with those last 2 wins against Indiana and Purdue, and I think they got the other win against Indiana where they could survive a collapse and still be in the field. But as far as anyone hoping that they catch or catch Purdue for the Big Ten title in the regular season, it's just not likely, honestly.
No, and again, looking at this, 30% chance of winning at Illinois, 28% chance at Maryland, and 31% chance at Rutgers the last game. And I want to tell people this as well is, listen, I'm not, as we get down to the stretch here, guys, you kind of, I'm not telling you this is the end all be all, but start to look at the last home game, the senior days. These teams get up for it. The emotions, it's the last game for these seniors. Maybe you can lean a little on the first half for the emotion in the first 20 minutes. But if I am a Northwestern guy, I need to get to 20. We know how this works. We're 19-7. So you got Sunday, 2-point favorites against Iowa. And then on March 1st, only 4 points against Penn State. Again, that line smells to holy heaven to me. And even though it is senior day, so you got to get to 20 as quick as you can if you're Northwestern. Lock it in where you're not sweating it on Selection Sunday, even though you've had a great run. But listen, if you come down at end the season 1-4 and you lose the first game in the Big Ten tournament, now you're sitting there with your hands like this, like, oh, my God, here we go. Are we going to get selected or not?
And it could be, especially if they lose all those games, they could have the Big Ten tournament's always goofy with their seedings. If they fall enough, though, they could have a team that would be a bad loss on their resume if they were to lose in that opening round. So I'm with you. I think they're safe, but like you said, if they lose 5-6 in a row or 1-5 a stretch, you're definitely getting a little nervous there. So to close things out, I'll pose this question. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Penn State. If you had to pick one to get into the field here, Like I said, I think Michigan and Penn State are on the outside right now. Wisconsin's in the last 4 in there. Michigan 14-12, Wisconsin 15-10, Penn State 15-11. Who are you taking out of these 3 to get in?
I think for style, I think for flash, the NCAA would lean Michigan. I think for following, listen, I'm sitting there in Vegas for the opening day of the tournament, and Wisconsin's coming on at the Bellagio, and I turn around, it's just a sea of red, and all with the red jerseys and the W's. No one travels like Wisconsin, whether it's football, whether it's college hoops. They're just fan base. Hockey, their fan base is amazing. The team that I think has an opportunity to actually win a game in the tournament, I think is Penn State.
I'm with you. I'm just trying to look at these schedules. Michigan and Wisconsin still play one more time, so that honestly could be a deciding factor right there. And Wisconsin, I think, has got Minnesota, so maybe a easy win on their schedule still. And obviously, if they lose that, they're in trouble. I think just with the way it's gone, though, so many of these teams go through these, outside of maybe a couple of teams go, like we've talked about throughout the show, these peaks and valleys. Penn State's the team that's in the valley right now, and they've got Minnesota this weekend, who they obviously have to win, at Ohio State, who's crumbling. If they can win that, they got Rutgers at home. They've got winnable games the rest of their way, and then at Northwestern and home for Maryland. So kind of on the flip side of Northwestern, could they lose 4 of these 5? For sure. But, as far as the team that's coming back and who are we buying, I could see Penn State winning 4 of these last 5 here.
And I think the schedule sets up nicely for them. As you said, they got the home games where they're okay. Let me do this. Let me just do this here. Where are they? Penn State. Here we go. 78% chance of winning against Minnesota. They got them 3-point dogs at Ohio State, 41%. They got them 1-point favorites at home against Rutgers. They got them 4-point dogs at Northwestern and 1-point dog against Maryland. So again, they got the games at home where they need to. They're only 3-point dogs at Ohio State, and they're only 4-point dogs at Northwestern. None of those games are going to be easy. But again, if they go 5-0 or they go 4-1, if they go 5-0, that gets them to 20-11. If they go 4-1, that gets them to 19-12. And we're talking who's in now? Northwestern? Is it Penn State or both? Because they'll both come in at the same records.
Right. And I'm just looking at, like I said, this game with Wisconsin and Rutgers this weekend is huge for them. If they can win that, then maybe I'm feeling they've got to win a couple more games and they're in. But no, I'm big games on the bubble in the Big Ten. So I am glad we went through it. There's obviously some value to see here this weekend. So obviously stay tuned with us and see if we actually run with anything these next 2 days, or if you've got it in your action parlay for your members. I know you're obviously interested in the old Cornhuskers already. So I am ready to rock and roll this weekend for the Big Ten, my friend. I'm excited.
No, absolutely. I want to thank all the viewers and listeners here. Thank yourself, obviously, for the Big Ten preview. I love it. For later today, as we talked off here, I think at 3:30 will be Andrew McGinnis. Will be coming on. Dan Alexander and Zaid have conflicts with scheduling, so unfortunately, we will not have either one of them on. I will be in East Providence all day and night tomorrow. And Sunday, I'll be back here. So if you're available and you want to do anything on Sunday, we could do something for the Sunday card there. I know it's NBA All-Star Weekend. Maybe for shits and giggles, we'll pull up a couple props and we'll laugh and we'll discuss them too.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I'm more interested typically in the Saturday dunk contest and 3-point contest, unless I've got something going on. I have not watched much of the All-Star game, but I'd still love to since, for the last 15 years or so. But I would still, some props are still fun. Maybe an MVP. I do like picking an All-Star Game MVP because sometimes that can be not too hard to decipher there. But, stay tuned as far as whether you see me or us or not. Maybe I'll have some golf ads onto what I've already got. The tournament's heating up as we speak. It's going to be a pretty fun ride. Morikawa is playing really well today. He's just under the lead. Keith Mitchell's got the lead right now. Rory's playing well. And Tiger's 2 under, I think. So might get another day of Tiger as long as he can keep it afloat these last 9 holes or so here.
And if we come on early enough on Sunday, we can do what we do best and take a look at that leaderboard, maybe find a couple darts from way back to pick and choose from. It'll be nice to see Tiger if he can make the cut. I know that was around plus 135, so congrats to, and you got some nice Friday sweats there. My 2 one and dones are probably going to be done if they don't wake up and not play in the weekend. Any updates on Finau or Scheffler?
So I've got Finau on one of mine. He hasn't played today. He's 1 over, so he needs a little work to do to make the cut. Scheffler is right with he's 2 under right now for the entire today and yesterday. He's 1 under for the day. He's got the entire back 9 to go. So and then I had Hovland was one of my other 2. He's 2 under, hasn't started yet today, so need him to keep it rolling today. And then a little bit of a longer shot with Justin Rose. He's even right now, needs to do a little more to I think even right now is the cut line as we speak. So maybe that might change a little bit as the rest of the pack gets going and off and running. But and then you said Scheffler. So everyone's playing well. Not too many guys have noteworthy guys have been imploding or anything like that. So it should be a fun weekend for the old Genesis here.
So currently the cut is even, you said, correct?
Correct, but there's a lot of guys. The afternoon guys haven't really gotten off and going. So if guys are playing well, it might jump to -1.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank all the viewers. If you're not following us, please do follow myself at EC Sports Invest. Follow Riley at Riley_Magnuson, the one. Everyone have a great weekend. It's here. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. Go over to our website at www.eastcoastsportsinvestors and come check us out there. And last but not least, okay, if you do have a gambling problem, please, please, please reach out. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because I care. Riley cares. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2023 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson, Riley Magnuson, everyone have a great day, a great weekend, and we will see you soon.